Welcome, everyone. Sorry for the delay, but we're here and we're here with Jeff. And welcome to the 10th and final session of our Growing Opportunities in Canadian Agricultural webinar series. It's been really great to listen to the diverse agriculture employers and people in the agriculture industry. So thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to be chatting with Jeff English. Jeff is the Vice President in Marketing and Communications at Pulse Canada. So Jeff, I'll hand things over to you and you can give a little introduction about yourself and your role at Pulse.
Yeah, thanks, Megan, and good afternoon to most of you. As Megan mentioned, my name is Jeff English. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Communications here at Pulse Canada. If you don't know about Pulse Canada, we're a national association that represents the growers, processors, and traders of pulse crops. So pulses are maybe not a term that most people are familiar with, but we're talking things like dry peas, dry beans, lentils, chickpeas, predominantly grown out in Western Canada with some beans obviously out east. Here at Pulse Canada, I lead a team. We are focused on the marketing and disseminating of information that we create, and that kind of helps advocate for our strategy, which is to increase pulse production as well as increase pulse consumption and pulse demand around the world. So we do that through a number of fronts. We have a team of kind of food scientists who work very closely with food companies and with folks like nutritionists and end-use manufacturers and things like that to help drive and build demand for pulse products, not just whole pulses, but pulses in terms of, as parts of ingredients or getting into more and more foodstuffs. As well as we kind of have a policy division who handles things like government relations and advocating for policies that will help make this system smoother. That's whether on things like market access and trade policy, ensuring effective rail transportation and shipping for pulse crops, or as well as things like having access to the latest crop protection products for farmers and things like that. And so my job is kind of in the middle of those two, is to help work with relevant policy experts to develop a bit of a communications plan and strategy, find the right target audience, and make sure our message is getting out to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what got you into the agriculture industry? Because I know you've been in the agriculture industry for a while.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think the more people you meet in this business, we'll say, everybody kind of finds it accidentally, and I would be the same. I'm from Alberta originally, but I went to university in Ottawa, at Ottawa U. So I was drawn to politics. I was joke with people. I majored in social sciences, so I wanted to be unemployed when I graduated. And essentially, what I ended up doing was I got involved politically and worked on Parliament Hill for a number of years, and that drew me to eventually being employed in the agriculture minister's office. So I was not born on a farm, raised on a farm. My family ran a commercial flower greenhouse actually growing up, which I never considered agriculture because we were surrounded by farms. And yeah, I kind of, my first job in agriculture, if you will, was as a press secretary and doing political communications for the then Minister of Agriculture. That enabled me to travel around and certainly meet with various stakeholders from across agriculture in Canada and around the world, whether it was on the livestock side or on the crop production side, or dairy, poultry, greenhouse, fruit and veg, things like that. And so I think like a lot of people who find their way into agriculture end up staying because of the people, and I would be no exception to that. After politics, I took a job at a marketing firm which specialized in marketing of agricultural products, so a private company, but got to work with clients kind of like Bayer and Monsanto and producer associations like the Canola Council and others, and kind of got to learn a bit more of the agricultural marketing side of things. And then I've been here at Pulse for the last about 4 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I couldn't agree more when you say that you got in here accidentally, because I feel like that's everyone's story, and you stay in the industry because, everyone's so kind and there's always room for more work and, more positions. So that's great. And in terms of your role at Pulse, so in communications, so what kind of content do you find you work on in the majority of your line of work? And what do you find has the most impact?
One thing, I always, I'm a big supporter for communications roles in general, and And I think one of the benefits is that no 2 days are the same. So a lot of the stuff I work on, I joke with my wife, I'm probably not a ton of fun at dinner parties because not too many people care greatly about, what's latest in lentil flour and things like that. But it's a really interesting chance to kind of learn what work is happening and then put it across the desk. So very traditionally, I think agriculture associations like ours were very good at research and creating, like generating reports, generating studies, things like that. But then those studies would sit on shelves and they kind of were lost. They never found their way to a target audience, or they were referenced as needed, but maybe not promoted. So we've taken a bit more of an active role here at Pulse Canada to try to, develop, just as if we were any in-house marketing team. Like if it doesn't matter if you're selling, cans of Pepsi or something like that, like to really set some targets in terms of our work that we do. So whether it's major marketing campaigns, which would be from ideation to execution on things like that, whether it's government relations strategies, we make a number of websites and content, our own kind of, blog pieces and thought leadership pieces and things like that. So there's certainly a lot to keep us occupied, and I hope that no 2 days are the same, at least for someone like me. I like that, and maybe kind of need that in what I look for in a job, to a little bit of variety to kind of mix up the days and weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in the agriculture industry, that happens quite often. I think, you're not doing the same thing every single day for sure. And so, in terms of communications, again, obviously, a lot of information on different advancement in agriculture can be quite misconstrued when released publicly. So, how do you work through that when negative connotations present themselves?
It's interesting. As you say, like the people have an inherent trust. I think society has an inherent trust in farmers, but everybody's definition of what a farmer should or ought to look like, I think, varies greatly. We kind of do a bit of a disservice, I think, in this country by assuming that a farmer is, sitting in their backyard, looking over their little plot of land, raising just enough to get by or to feed themselves and others. And certainly in Canada, globally, we are recognized for leading the way in modern agriculture. And so farms aren't 5 acres anymore; they're 5,000 acres, and that's a business first and foremost. And it takes a lot of work to run that business. And so anytime there's a new technological advancement, from a Canadian perspective, we would like to be there. We would like to be there up front, because we know that when given a chance to compete, like, our farmers can compete and grow food as good or better and more sustainably than anywhere else in the country. But advancements in things like crop protection products, so herbicides, pesticides, things like that, things that are helping us to grow things like seed traits that make crops, say, more drought tolerant, which we've all seen if you're out here on the prairies the last few years that we could use. Anything that gives us an advantage. Now, the reality is, for a lot of this stuff, is there's very divisive sides of people on both sides of the equation here. We like when facts and kind of scientific arguments can win the day, but people don't think with science; they think with their hearts. I do the same when I go to the grocery store and I read labels of things. I'm a dad. I think of the exact same things as everybody else, in terms of, I want assurances that what I buy is done in a way I agree with, and obviously is safe and healthy. And I think, a lot of times the challenge there is the default position for folks can be those new advancements aren't safe and healthy, when the reality is that they are. So, part of our job is certainly here is to help kind of link that, bridge the gap, we'll say, and lead people, to the information that they need, that is accurate and relevant, and folks can make up their minds that way.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so much information out there, especially when it comes to agriculture and different produce and what people are, producing. And the agriculture is evolving as a whole technologically as well. So yeah, no, that's great. And what would you say is most important for students to consider when pursuing a communications role in agriculture?
So, I mean, one, knowing it existed, to be honest. Like, as I mentioned, I took social sciences, like political science and the like, and it was great. But I never knew about this world. As I said, I happened backwards into it. every agriculture, and maybe pertinent to just the last topic, there's so much happening in agriculture, and food is so personal and sensitive with society that there will always be a need for people who think creatively, who want to solve problems in communicating the challenges of what goes along with a modern agricultural system. And so I think, I mean, first and foremost, knowing that it's there, and then secondly, uh, into the variety. So I mentioned my day has a lot of variety, but I do tend to work on similar things, or at least similar topics. But when you take Canadian agriculture as a whole, whether you're looking for work in a private company, obviously many of the major crop input or machinery dealers, like they're all have some sort of footprint here in Canada, grain handlers and the like. There's places like mine, which are we're a not-for-profit producer and trade association. There's governments. There's at a provincial level, at a national level. There's so many different angles, I guess you could take it. So many different kinds of agriculture here in Canada that you're really not buttonholed, and you could really try 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 your go at any of them. And we talked about people sticking around because people are great and friendly here in agriculture, but it wouldn't be uncommon for somebody to start a communications role somewhere and then kind of go to another sector or things like that. I think I encounter folks like that on a daily basis. Maybe I'm an example of that myself. Just if you're interested, there's opportunity out there. There's a lot of jobs, and I know the work that your organization does obviously is to pair that up and get people excited about the prospect of working in agriculture. But it's up there in terms of opportunity and in terms of ability to grow and to see the country, see the world. It's I can't say enough about it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it's important to know that it actually exists because a lot of people don't. And a big part of my role right now is traveling around the different schools and career fairs and talking to students and letting them know about these opportunities. And a lot of them are so surprised they have no idea. So it's introducing students into this whole other industry that they didn't even know was there. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
we need writers, we
yeah.
need strategic thinkers, people who like to solve problems, and communications, especially in this day and age, is I believe becoming more and more important. I mean, we're all scrolling our phones every day, looking at things. We've never been more wired or more connected, and there's a lot of maybe inherent distrust right now over what people are reading, or where'd you hear that, or that can't be real. Probably half of the things we're served daily maybe cause some skepticism, and so anytime we can get good people involved in this industry, because it's so heavily reliant on that, people who want to do well and, as I said, solve a problem, think strategically on how the best way to communicate things like that. It would be, it's an exciting place to be.
hmm Yeah, for sure. And one more question for you from me. Do you have any, it's similar to the other question, but do you have any specific advice to students that are, not agriculture students, but are looking to get into the agriculture industry and into communications or marketing?
Yeah, I mean, most of the people I meet in this business didn't grow up on a farm, and they didn't take an agricultural based degree. It's just because of the variety. As I said, I work here at Pulse Canada. We do have food scientists, so we do have people who have taken agriculture, but I work with marketing majors, accountants, policy specialists who have found a home in here in this folks who work in sustainability. So I think one, as you said, like knowing it's there. Two, I think like taking a chance. I'm a product of an internship myself, albeit several years ago. There's opportunities for things like that, and I've never met a company, at least in Canadian agriculture, that wouldn't take a chance on a good person. And so whether it's getting your foot in the door, and working your way up, or whether it's chasing the dream job right away, I think there's plenty of opportunity. And it can start as simple as certainly this is a business or a sector where people go to bat for one another. And so if you have somebody who you think can put a good word in with or something like that, it can be a way to, to help open up some opportunity. But as most people that I've found in this business, as I said, got here accidentally, and you couldn't force them out of it now. So it's yeah, I would strongly encourage anybody who's looking or who thinks, hey, that could be fun to take a shot at even something temporary or a term kind of thing like that, and see if they like it, because I'd be willing to bet they would.
Yeah, work integrated learning, co-ops, internships are so important, and it really gives students the opportunity to, again, see what's out there and to
Yeah.
understand that there is so much opportunity. So yeah, no, that's great. Cool. So I'll open the floor for any questions. I do have a question here. Oh, someone just wants to know what pulse means again.
That's
I'm
good.
sure you get that question a lot.
We do, and all the best I can tell you is it's Latin. Uh, it's a it comes from the Latin word pulse, Puls, and it's I think it has to do with like thick soup or broth, like most of our words derive from Latin.
Mhm,
It's a dried seed of a legume.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, and like you said, beans, lentils, everything, it's a superfood. Well, it's
You
all the
know,
superfoods.
there's a lot, and maybe this maybe this can kind of tie into the challenge of communication. Certainly, I think we hear more and more now about pulses today than maybe ever. Part of that, obviously, there's a push towards increasing in plant-based diets around the world.
Mhm,
That's It's an interesting area, but not necessarily our focus here. I like a good steak, just like most folks out there, and that I don't think will ever go away. Where there's an incredible opportunity right now is um, through the science behind food, and really thinking about what goes into the products we eat. And so, putting we've done some studies here that show blending lentils, 1/3 lentils into a beef burger, and the impact that can have on not only on the environment but the health of the burger itself, or including
mhm,
pea flour into pasta and things like that. It's like there's opportunities that way. So as most of us, if you come from if your family has been in Canada for 100 years, chances are you didn't grow up eating lentils and chickpeas on a regular basis, or I at least know that I didn't. And so our goal is not to just tip that upside down and say, hey, now you do, but to figure out ways how we can include pulse products into a variety of diets to of how people want to consume them. Meet the consumer where they want to be.
mhm. And I'm sure you've seen yeah, like you said, like a huge uprise in the industry for, vegan, vegetarian diets and everything. So, yeah, wow, that's great.
Yeah, and they're healthy and they taste good, right? And that's, I mean, when you have a product like that, it's a bit easier to sell sometimes too. But by no
Mhm.
means is it one versus the other. It's about
Yeah.
consumer choice, and we want to be able to, if people are going to be eating it, it'd be great if we could grow it here in Canada. So
No, absolutely. Perfect. I'm just looking. I'll put my email in for people just, asking about other agricultural
for sure.
employment opportunities in Canada. Um, and yeah, if we don't have any questions, or if Jeff, if you had anything else to add, that was great. I love learning about different, industries and agriculture and everything. And I didn't know much about Pulse Canada or pulses in general. So that's great.
No, I guess I would just say organizations like the Ag Human Resource Council and others have a huge and important role to play in kind of helping helping match good people with good opportunities. And
Hmm.
I'm sure there's studies out there, and I won't misquote one, but there's going to be a very big shortage of people in this industry over the next 10 to 20 years. I see it on
Hmm.
boardrooms all the time where you have people who are 50 plus who have been around for a while and obviously at some point would like to retire, and I'm sure you would have more familiarity with the stats of what's going to be required in terms of from a labor side of things to
Hmm.
fill the gap at agriculture. That comes on farm, but it also comes in vocations like mine, because it takes the whole industry working together to help continue to grow and expand this business. And happy to play a very, very small role in it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And yeah, like you said, there's a huge labor gap going on right now. And, this webinar series is one of the parts of my job where we try to, just make awareness of the evolution of agriculture right now, and, getting more post-secondary students in this new generation into the industry, which would be super helpful. And, it's all helpful. So that's great. Thank you so much. And all your information, and it was very educational. And yeah, I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah. And would you want to maybe put your LinkedIn or link into the chat? And if anyone wants to reach out to you or has any questions, that would be awesome. Sorry, I should have
Yeah,
prepped you before that.
that's okay. Let's do it. That should work.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, perfect. All right, well, thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate that, and enjoy the rest of your day.